It's crunch time. The final round of GT World Challenge Asia for 2025 comes down to this. A street circuit in Beijing. A brand new street circuit to every single driver on the grid. And a real fast challenge to establish who will be the champions of 2025. A beautiful afternoon, a beautiful day, Sunday here in Beijing. Blue skies and the warmest temperature that we've seen throughout our weekend will provide some comfort to our drivers as the track is up to over 25 degrees now. The sun is beating down on it, 11 degrees air temperature. That won't bother the drivers too much. It's the track temperature that is way better than they've experienced so far. It is a stunning venue, to be honest. We are driving around the Tongming Lake Park, just beside E-Town, the brand new area here in Beijing. This is the calendar for 2025. We started off in Sepang in April, then went to Indonesia in May, the Mandalika circuit, with Chang International hosting its final round for rounds 5 and 6. Then a doubleheader in Japan and finishing off here in Beijing. A brand new circuit for everyone to experience. Let's take a look once more at the circuit with Max Hussein.
Hi, I'm Maxime Oosten, driving the 89 KRC car here in GT World Challenge Asia, and we're driving now the brand new Beijing Street Circuit. So, arriving here on the main straight, it's going up to 5th gear, quite high speed, braking up to quite a bumpy T1. We need to be quite careful on the brakes, else we overshoot quite easily into the ABS here. It's a 2nd gear corner. We try to not clip the wall, but being as close as possible. On the exit as well, we need to watch out quite a bit. Here, T2, flat, going over 200 kph. Watching out a bit for the traffic here. Everyone warming up the tires. 6th gear, hard braking zone from 240. Here as well, like super close to the walls. It's super cool. So here at T4, everything is quite low speed here. Almost everything is 2nd gear. So it favors the cars that have good traction. So it's important to have the traction in a good window here. It's a lot of stopping and going. So we just try our best to get the car in a nice window. Going into T6. Here you have a quite nice place. You're going underneath the shopping mall in Beijing. So here we pass the sphere, like a mini version of Las Vegas, super cool to see. It's quite hard to have a good braking point for T7 now with the sunset, so you try to just maximize everything you can get as close to the walls as possible. Here we have the fun part of the track. It's a chicane where I think it's the lowest speed corner of the full calendar. So we end up on 40 kph. Then we go full send to the last corner. And it's the first time in 20 years that Beijing is on the calendar again. Super nice street track, super good build. Good race for SRO to host here. So I'm really enjoying and looking forward to the races.
A look on board with Max Hussein, the BMW, who has taken this morning the Silver Am Championship. We did have a race earlier on today, and Max now with a championship that he probably could have won a couple of rounds ago, but the Nissan came on strong in the second half of the year once we visited Japan. And in fact, it was the Nissan that took victory this morning, but was not able to put enough cars between himself and the 89. To give yourself a little bit of an idea as to the situation coming into this weekend, let's join our guide, Tom Hornsby, who can tell us all about how it stacked up before race 1 at the start of the weekend.
These 7 crews will battle for the GT World Challenge Asia, powered by AWS Drivers' title this weekend, when China's capital hosts the season finale here at the brand new Beijing Street Circuit.
2 60-minute contests close out a 12-race campaign that has already visited Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand and Japan. However, this is the first time the championship has ever competed on a street circuit, which has been built specifically for this event.
The 12-turn, 4.9-kilometre track winds its way through modern architecture and the Tongming Lake Park in Beijing's economic technological development area, otherwise known as E-Town.
Bob Yuan and Liu Yi start as favourites to retain their crown thanks to a 14-point lead over compatriot and Origin teammate Lu Wei, while three-time race winner Prince Jeffrey Ibrahim lies 1 point further back. 2023 champion Anthony Liu and his Phantom co-driver Dorian Boccolacci are also in the mix, albeit 20 points behind.
Those three chasing crews must take advantage of the leading Porsche's 10th-place Race 1 grid penalty that Yi received for triggering Okayama's start line accident.
With 50 points available for winning both races, the championship outsiders are very much Silver Class leaders Cheng Kongfu and Yu Kuai, and Silver Am champions-elect Ruan Kunfan and Maxime Usten. Cao Chi completes our magnificent 7.
Elsewhere, Garage 75's David Tiptoe Biantoro looks set to retain his AM Class title. He and Christian Colombo hold a comfortable advantage over Ben Porter and Satir Juan Santoso.
GT World Challenge Asia is joined in Beijing by the SRO GT Cup, a new GT4 championship based in China that began at the Chinese Grand Prix earlier this year. The 4-round season concludes in Macau next month. The global GT World Challenge is also reaching its climax. The Indianapolis 8-hour takes place this Saturday before the 30-event campaign concludes at Hampton Downs in New Zealand next weekend.
And very, very recently, Indianapolis 8 hours has concluded under rainy skies, and we have obviously had our race this morning. And so our championship looks quite different now to that which Tom described before the start of race 1, because wow, did we have some race 1. We've got a couple of moments before we show you the highlights. So before we do the highlights of that, let's go down to Amy, who can update us with some of our drivers and interview both champions and potential champions.
Starting from row 2 here, Prince Jeffrey. So there's a big job ahead, I guess. 15 points behind the championship leader. How confident are you to be crowned champion?
To be honest, I'm just going to focus on my race, and Ben is at a good spot. We're going to try and capitalize everything we've got. This is our last race. We're going to give our all, and hopefully we'll end up in a good spot.
All the best luck to you. And Ben, so a lot of heavy things on your shoulder, I guess, starting from this position. How confident are you to go safe through the start?
Let's see. I think, you know, we're all professional drivers here. It's going to be tight through turn 1, of course, and turn 3, but let's see what happens. I'm looking forward to the race.
So let's see you at the podium, hopefully.
Hopefully so.
Good luck.
Ben Green and Prince Jeffrey missing out on points in race 1, but keeping inside the championship challenge, because they started the weekend 15 points away from Bob Wan and Liu Yi, and they continue to be so. Well, there is a rather sad-looking car 37, but happy times for Phantom Global Racing to even have it on the grid, because that car with a huge front-end damage after an incident for Anthony Liu going into turn 1 and rear-ending Ferrari 96. And they had to rebuild the whole front of that car. Didn't really feel as though there was going to be enough time to do so with race 1 happening this morning, but Phantom Global Racing doing a great job, and that car starts on the front row. Anthony Liu and Dorian Boccolacci still have the opportunity to win the title. They are 20 points back from Bob Wan and Liu Yi, and obviously a maximum of 25 points means they have the possibility. It is an outside possibility, but with Bob Lan and Liu Li starting a fair way back in the pack, anything really could still happen. Porsche were really strong in a cold qualifying session yesterday, and therefore Patrick Pilot will start himself up on row 2 for a car that is absolutely stunning with that brand new livery.
And here with Bastian, you also have a big job to do. Wei Lu might be crowned champion today. How will the start be for you?
Yeah, I think we were a bit unlucky in qualifying. Had a mechanical issue with the car, so the pace is good. We gained a few points in the first race, and now it's all in for the second race. So nothing will be left on the table, and yeah, I'll do my part, and then Wei has also half a race to work with. So all in.
All the best luck and enjoy the race.
Bastian Bose will start the number 4 Origin Motorsport car, 8th position on row 4 of the grid. As he mentioned, they were the only one of the 4 championship challengers that we've got coming into this race that were able to score points in race 1. And so they move to within 6 points now of their Origin teammates, car 87. Probably one of the most celebrated Chinese drivers. Ye Yifei will start the win here. Harmony Racing Ferrari on row 3 in 6th position in that 55 red Ferrari. And he was very, very quick in the initial sessions around this circuit as everyone got themselves up to speed. He certainly got himself up to speed faster. And so, Ye Yifei, a man to watch, lines up alongside Nico Menzel, who was on the podium for GTO Racing in race 1 and did a really, really fantastic job in a car that has only seen a best result of 7th beforehand. Now there is a gap there in front of the 45, so I think that gap is Origin Motorsports 86 car that had contact with the barrier in the middle part of race 1, and it looks like it might be missing off the grid for race 2. As we mentioned, championship leaders are not good on the grid. 14th for Liu Yi.
So Bob, you're still championship leader. At this position, you need to overtake a few cars in front of you. How nervous are you?
For me, maybe no nervous. Yeah, it's just the race. After the race 1, I think a little bit drama during the race first one. But I think it should be okay. I mean, hopefully we have the safety and a good race in race 2.
And I hope you enjoy the race as much as you can as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty enjoying the race. I like this Beijing street track. Quite excited.
All right, so all the best luck to you.
I don't know whether Bob Wan looks as relaxed as we normally see him. He'll be in the car in the second half of the race. His pro teammate Liu Yi, the two of them winning the championship last year and looking to do the double this year, but they are a decent way back. As I say, 14th position on the grid. That's row 7. And they line up alongside Daniel Liu, who's just won the GT4 race in support of this. Liu was in the barriers at the end of race 1. That car looked like it might have been on the podium for 3-2-1. Alongside Amy, we've also got Feline, and she's caught up with our pole position car.
Hey, Jaden, starting from P1, but with the unfortunate of this morning, what will be your approach?
Yeah, unfortunate about this morning, but obviously starting from pole position now, so just focusing on getting a good start. Hopefully can have a good stint and hand over to Key and see what we can do. If we can win the final race for the year, would be awesome.
Okay. So what will you look at on this racetrack? What are the most important thing?
Leading into turn 1, that's the goal for me. So yeah, let's see.
Okay.
Jaden Ojeda there, a man who led the Bathurst 1000 last weekend and works Mercedes AMG driver. He races with GT World Challenge Australia in a Mercedes as well as Asia, and did the endurance races in the V8 supercars this year. Watch out on Monday for more news from Jaden about next year's plans, but excited to come back to GT World Challenge Asia next year, and he has a pole position and clear track ahead of him. And when I spoke to him yesterday, he said, if I'm on pole and if I've got a clear track ahead of me, it's going to be tough for the first couple of laps, but then I can hold on for the rest of the race. He'll have Doran Boccolacci all over the back of him, though, and the Porsches were strong, getting their temperature up, but you know, it's 22 degrees track temperature. That's a good couple of, well, 5 or 6 degrees warmer than we've seen all weekend. Let's go down to Amy once again, who's got our AM champions crowned in race 1.
So Christian, you were already crowned champion this morning in race 1. I believe this one is going to be all just enjoyment for you.
Yeah, for sure. Finally, we find a way to win the championship in the morning. So now we focus to keep the podium, and we enjoy with a bit less of stress compared to this morning.
I believe this is a winning run for you, so good luck and have fun.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Last year's AM champion, David Chipbanturo, being joined by Christian Colombo for the full season this year. Christian missed one race last year and therefore was not able to be the AM champion. This year, alongside David, the two of them became champions in race 1 in the AM category. Despite finishing at 3rd position, such was their advantage over Setuan Santosho and Ben Porter. So the AM championship has been wrapped up, as has the Silver AM championship, but we still have the Pro-Am championship, the overall, and the Silver championship to wrap up. Now, easy one in silver because there's 23 points between the 45 of Frankie Chen and James Yu Kwai and the 77 of Jiatang Liang. There's 23 points between them, and therefore basically Cheng and Yu just need to finish. And as long as they start, actually, they will pick up enough points to keep the 23. If they DNF, then Jiatong Liang and Darrell Young would need to win the silver category. There are 5 cars in the silver category, and so a pretty tall order to ask for car 77. Let's go down to Amy now, who's on the grid with car 45.
So James, tell me, your silver championship is right in front of your eyes. What's the strategy?
I hope I can enjoy the race, and also I hope I can deliver a good race for everybody here. It's nice to see so many audience here. The goal is to do the best race ever.
The crowd is huge cheering for you, so all the best luck.
Thank you so much.
No stranger to winning, James Yu Kwai has got a couple of wins in his pocket, including a win with Frankie Cheng this year in Buriram, race 1, and also on the podium overall in Malaysia race 2, and was on course for a really good result in race 1 here. But there were 6 teams or 6 cars that were given penalties for a shorter than allowed pit stop. It was a very confusing moment where we had the safety car out, so everyone came into the pits at the same time, and they were desperate to keep track position, and therefore some teams were releasing their cars earlier than they would usually to keep the track position. The problem was those drivers then needed to go slower in the pit lane and try to kind of use up the time by driving not to the pit lane speed limit, but slower than the pit lane speed limit, but keep the track position. And the teams and drivers of certain cars didn't quite manage it, and therefore there was 6 cars that ended up having to do stop-go penalties, including the 45, including the 87 championship leaders, and a few others as well. And that is how we kind of lost the majority of our championship challengers from point-scoring positions in race 1. And the other main drama, the safety car was brought out because of a clash between the leading 2 cars, which was Harmony Racing's 96 and the 37 of Anthony Liu. Now, it was deemed a racing incident between the 2, and the reason for that was it seems as though as the Porsche came over the bump into the braking zone at turn number 1, its braking system failed. Effectively, the ABS system failed. The tyres fully locked, and that is how Anthony Liu lost control of the car and ploughed into the back of the 96. Now, the 96 Harmony Racing car was being prepared for Lu Kai Lu and Andy Dung, but I understand that Andy Dung did damage his ankle in the accident and therefore has declared himself unfit to race. So about an hour ago when I went down to the garage, the car was under covers and the mechanics had stopped working on it, even though there is actually a spare car also from the Shanghai 8 Hours parked up next door to it, and they have withdrawn. So they are not on the grid. It does look as though the 86 of Origin, Anders Forbach and Kieron Lee are also missing from the grid. And the grid has been cleared. And now the nervous moments, when there's people around and there's a buzz, you get to distract yourself from the job in hand. But now there are no crowds on the grid, and we are just now waiting. Dorian Boccolacci inside the Phantom Global Racing car. That has done a single lap after its rebuild. The whole front end's been rebuilt. Obviously, you can tell by the carbon fiber, but all the underneath, all the internals, the suspension and the crash structure around it, that's all been refitted. And so they had a single lap to get that car. It's called a hardship lap, where they basically do a single lap just to shake it down to make sure everything is pointing in the right direction. And now Dorian Boccolacci goes out in anger to try and win a championship for himself and his teammate Anthony Liu, who of course has already a championship to his name. Anthony was the champion back in 2023 and was runner-up last year. Now in 23 he was driving a Mercedes for Craft Bamboo. Last year he was driving a Porsche for Absolute Racing, and this year he is driving a Porsche for Phantom Global Racing. So it's not as though he's just staying in the same team with the same car, like we see with Bob Yuan and Leo Ye, who have been with R&B, which has turned into Origin. A great result for GTO Racing in race 1. Nico Menzel and Brian Lee on the podium. Way, way better than they've managed across the years so far, and that is the two of them's best result ever in the world of GT World Challenge Asia. There's Ye Yifei. Came into that car in the middle part of the year in Okayama. Had a bit of a troubled Okayama weekend, but a new teammate this weekend in the form of Zhang Yaiqi, who recently got used to this car, or actually not this car, but a Ferrari at the Shanghai 8 Hour race. A great opportunity to just get loads of lap time in. And so that was his warm-up for this weekend. The last time we saw him, he was in a Mercedes with Climax and started the year and did the first 2 weekends with Climax in the car 44. But if you remember, there was a bit of a shunt in Mandalika race 1. Wrote off the Mercedes against the wall, and we didn't see Zhang Yaiqi for the rest of the season with that team. So great to welcome him back, and actually was very, very strong in his stint. He was a little bit shy, he said, going into turn 1, a little bit careful, but then got himself back up to speed. But they were also a car that got given a penalty for pit stop infringement in the middle of the race. The way we sit in the championship, Bob Yuan and Leo Ye have 119 points. Lu Wei 6 points back, with Prince Jeffrey Ibrahim 15 points back, and then Boccolacci and Liu 20 points back. There is the view from our championship leaders, right in the center of the chaos. Actually, turn 1 is not a big braking zone. It is very wide. And so far in the 2 races that we've seen here this weekend, it has been a place that has been relatively safe. Cars have been sitting on that grid for a long time with their tyres getting cooler and cooler. And now they're going to have to work really hard to bring them back up to temperature. Hopefully that temperature in the air, that sun beating down on the track, will have helped and will help everybody get up to temperature quicker. But what we do know from talking to drivers and what we saw in race 1 is that the Porsches particularly warm up quicker than the rest. Big, long, sweeping turn number 2, down to the big stop at turn 3, where we saw contact between Daniel Liu and Bastien Bus just there at the end of race 1. It was under investigation. In fact, Daniel Liu was given a reprimand for it. It seemed as though he came across the front of Bastien, which ended up with Daniel being in the wall. And relatively decent damage to that Absolute Porsche, so they had to rebuild that one. He starts just ahead of Yuan. Also repairs for that Lamborghini, which we lost in the middle part of the race. Seemed as though they just lightly clipped a barrier somewhere with the right rear, and it didn't initially fail, it carried on, but then a couple of laps later the car felt a bit odd, and so it was retired by Akish Nandi, and they have since repaired the rear right corner. It was very fast, that Lamborghini, in the hands of both drivers. Pole for EBM. Silver in the hands of Frankie Chung and James Yu Kwai. Silver Am, Origin Motorsport 86 not there. And Pro-Am, the pole car. Craft Bamboo Mercedes. Jaden Ajeda, 3.5 tenths faster than everybody else on his qualifying lap. Watch out for him alongside Dorian Boccolacci on the front row. It's Ben Green and Patrick Pilet on row 2 alongside each other. That 99 car in with a championship fight. Menzel and Ye Yifei on row 3. And then Alexander Sims in the 66 Corvette alongside Bastien Bus, who is championship leader in Pro-Am. No Anders Forbach, they're missing. Adley Fong in 10th position. 11th for James Yu Kwai, the championship leader in silver, alongside his teammate. Then Daniel Liu in 13th, and Leo Yi starts 14th position. Akish Nandi in 15th. The winner this morning, Yuka Amaru, in 16th spot, and disappointing qualifying for Max Hussein, down in 17th alongside the 16 Uno Racing Audi. Daryl O'Young and Liam Talbot on row number 10. Reinhold Renger, Christian Colombo and Andrew McPherson round out our 4 AM drivers at the tail of this field. As per the format this year in GT World Challenge Asia, 2 formation laps. That allows the teams and drivers to get more temperature into the tyres, to the brakes, and just to settle the nerves perhaps, especially when it's amateur drivers at the wheel. Of course, race 2 we have pro drivers at the wheel who are much more accustomed to hustling and muscling their cars for the first couple of laps. Pace is pretty fast actually as we ride on board here with the 45. Coming round to the end of the lap now, this non-overtaking area into the chicane. There's a white line on the tarmac which denotes where you are, basically dictates who is in front and behind. Pay attention to that white line if you're side by side with another car. Opportunity here to take chunks of points out of his rivals for Dorian Boccolacci in the 37th. Dorian still not won in GT World Challenge Asia. Anthony Liu has 6 wins to his name for much of the year, was the most successful man in the championship, but this year a win has eluded him. He lines up alongside Jaden Ajeda on the front row in that Mercedes that will take a bit of time to get up to temperature, so Boccolacci should know that he's got the confidence. Patrick Pilet behind him as well will be pushing him along, and Nico Menzel right up there in another Porsche as well. But let's see how it all pans out. One final hour of racing in GT World Challenge Asia for 2025 here at the Beijing Street Circuit. We're about to go green under wonderful conditions with a packed crowd crawling towards the line, waiting for the lights to go green, and they do. And it's a very, very tight start finish straight of just 10 meters, and Boccolacci is clear ahead. Must have been wheel spin for Jaden Ajeda. Bumps through the first couple of turns, gonna be really, really careful, and Boccolacci leaves by a nice margin. Jade's dropped down to at least third position, if not more, and lots of side-by-side as they shoot their way down towards turn 3, the next big braking zone. Boccolacci has Ben Green, I think, on his tail. No, it's Ye Yifei who is looking very, very strong under these low grip conditions. Boccolacci, Ye Yifei, Ben Green trying to go around the outside of Jada, who runs him a little bit wide and runs him a little bit deep. And actually the rest of the Porsches struggling for confidence. So where is Pile? He's dropped back a little bit. There's Nico Menzel crawling all over the back of Ben Green and should get the inside line here as Ben Green gets a little bit of an error through turn number 6 and does get that one done. Sims has moved up. There is Liu Ye. And not a great deal of ground made up by Liu Ye. Got Daniel Liu trying to go around the outside of him. Two different teams running those two Porsches, so there won't be any kind of team orders as Nico Menzel looks down the inside of Ben Green, but Ben gives him enough room. They go there towards that chicane that has that no overtaking area. And Nico Menzel slots into line. Early laps, struggling for traction. The cars shoot their way past. It's been a good start also for Bastian Boos. Hadn't noticed that. Boos up to 4th position there, right under the rear wing of Jada. And that bodes really well for Lu Wei's championship. Exactly what Bastian needs to do. Two big bumps on this circuit, the exit of turn number 12, and then in the braking zone of turn number 1. We saw a lot of them almost getting air into turn number 1 on that opening encounter. Now, with more temperature, with more confidence, and on the racing line, everyone faring a lot better. Boccolacci trying to get away. Low grip conditions was where we first met Dorian Boccolacci in Okayama last year when it was soggy and raining. He was on slicks and doing such a great job. Oh, Adley Fong nearly losing the rear end of his Porsche and going into the back of Patrick Pile. Just about got away with it. New front end on Fong's number 13 Porsche there. After contact in race 1 meant they had to change it, so a slight alteration in the livery of the car. And here's Liu Ye, 11th position, so no points at the moment. Got Joel Eriksson ahead of him. And behind him, Daniel Liu is able to clear. He's also got James Yu Kwai behind him. So the 45 not having a particularly great start. In fact, it's as though he's lost a couple more positions to Kanamari and Usen, the 45 Audi. We've got a safety car. No cars stationary, according to the tracker. The safety car will pick them up at turn 1, and there's some debris lying around there. So for a moment, the drivers get to take a deep breath. Reset their belts and relax the shoulders. Oh, and somebody's been in the wall at turn 1 on the outside there. I wonder who is missing that part of the car. Is that the reason why James Yu Kwai dropped 2 positions on the last lap? Did see in the GT4 race a car bounce off the tyre barrier into the concrete barrier there and managed to carry on for at least half a lap. I'm trying to see who had a particularly slow sector 1. Not immediately obvious, but maybe you wouldn't lose that much time. Here's a replay of the start. Just look at how unsettled the cars are as they go over the 2 bumps going into turn 1. Boccolacci got a great start, that traction really helping him, but the Mercedes of Jada had 4 wheels off the ground jumping into turn 1 there. Was there any debris left? Not from lap 1. And well clear going into turn 3 was Boccolacci and his teammate. Now look at that, nicely looked like it was opening up for James Yu Kwai on the inside. Over that jump, there's another bump there. And occupying the inside line, but then you've got to hope that you've got the front end And because he's holding it tight, he's got cars coming around the outside of him, including Joel Eriksson. And then a couple of laps later, he lost a couple more positions. Any guesses for what car that came off? Bit of a tricky one, I would have thought. So leading in the Silver Am category, Adley Fong in 9th position. We saw him going pretty deep, but managing to hold on. Silver is Daniel Liu in the 321 in 12th position, and Am is Liam Talbot, making his first start in Asia. The multiple Australian champion down in 19th position. Ahead of Christian Colombo. Reinhold Renger, our 2017 GT4 champion. Great to have him and Alex Liu back with us this year, and their Mercedes. Do you know what? Mercedes now, with the brand that has had the largest weight since the last victory, was Nissan, but with Nissan's victory in race 1, it's Mercedes. Now, Mercedes is the most successful brand in GT World Challenge Asia with 21 victories. And here is, as it stands right now, Bastien Bus would be giving Liu Wei a single-point victory in the championship over Boccolacci and Liu, and Bob Wan would drop down to 3rd spot. So that would be absolutely on its head, wouldn't it, from what we started the weekend with. And Boccolacci's gone again. The traction of those Porsches in these low grip conditions are so good. He managed to do it at the race start, and he's done it again on the resumption. Boccolacci leads Ye Yifei with Jaden Ojeda 3rd. Bastien Bus driving that number 4 alongside Liu Wei. Picarello sharing that car in various points of the year. Oh, and a little challenge from Ben Green on Bus, or was that Sims on Menzel? That's Sims on Menzel for 6th position. And hunting further back, Daryl Young coming through. Still defending going on. Oh, and Ye Yifei trying to go around the outside of Dorian Boccolacci, so Boccolacci has to go defensive and runs deep through turn 3. Oh, Ye Yifei trying to go down the inside of 4. That really won't help. And look at the momentum that Jaden Ojeda has right onto the tail of Ye Yifei, because the two of them have really compromised each other. And now from attacking, Yifei had to go really defensive. And suddenly, Jaden Ojeda has to go defensive because he's compromised his line. And Bus opens the door for Ben Green. Concertina effect or what? Oh, and that's a real lunge down the inside from Bastien Bus. Ojeda hangs it around the outside, and maybe now Ben Green will follow Ojeda into turn number 8. Bus is going to be hung out to dry here. Can he go around the outside? I'd be amazed if they do. It's so close between them, and now it's the run to that line, that imaginary line, and Ben Green has done it. Moved up ahead of the number 4. All of that has allowed Nico Menzel to draw onto the tail of our leading group. I think with Sims's attempt at turn number 3, he's dropped back a little bit. Then it's Patrick Pilet and Adley Fong. Joel Eriksson still inside the top 10. But Boccolacci, in a car that is almost totally rebuilt between race 1 and race 2 today, leads once more. 3.1, that 1.3 seconds the gap. Visibly a bigger gap between himself and Ye Yifei than there is with Jaden Ojeda and Ben Green behind. I wonder whether Ben Green might have a go at Ojeda here. That Corvette looking pretty strong. Is he close enough into the braking zone at 3? No, not quite. And he'll know, much like what happened 1 lap ago to Bastien Bus, if he makes a wrong move and makes a half pass, then he can open himself up. Not just to Bastien Bus behind, but Nico Menzel's there too. Fascinating stuff in the early stages of this final race of the season. These Pro-Am drivers will be staying in almost up to the 25 minutes to go mark. Then they'll hand over to their AM partners. Might see some of the silver drivers coming in earlier than that. And Corvette taking that point away from the number 4 will now put the championship in the hands of Lou and Boccolacci. That is how tight it is today. Still a long time to go, and of course, the 4th car in the battle for the championship is that Ben Green car, is that number 99. Not in with Ben Green because he's missed a couple of rounds, but with Prince Jeffrey. So he's taking points as well. Well, Liu Ye in 11th position, still not scoring anything. Jada just having to be really patient with his Mercedes. He knows, he told me this morning that the car will not get up to temperature anywhere near as fast as the Porsche around him. And again, on traction and on straight line speed, he's losing out. And I think Ben Green is going to get him this time a lot closer. Half a nose down the inside, but again, not quite close enough. And goes a little bit defensive. A lunge from Bastien Boost. That low shot makes it feel as though there was going to be an overlap. And a flash of the lights from Boost, because he can see that Menzel's getting closer. I tell you what, these pro drivers have really got their oboes out today. And it's a street circuit that has opportunities for overtaking. It's wide. Any little move, any little wrong mistake, there's no runoff area. It'll be a barrier that catches you out. Alexander Sims now on the flashers, down in 7th position in his Corvette on the podium in race 1. There's Liu Yi coming through. No progress made by the 87. He's still in 11th spot with Daniel Liu behind him. But Bob Wan is one of the very best AM drivers out there. All about confidence around a street circuit. A reminder that when it comes to the pit stops, the Nissan 500 adds 15 seconds extra. The Porsche number 10 of Nico Menzel will be 10 seconds longer in the pits. And the BMW 89, which is down in 13th, will be longer again. Sims down the inside in turn 1, not quite an overlap there. And he might have enough momentum, and it might have put Menzel off enough to allow that Corvette down the inside into turn 3. Menzel goes defensive through 2. Right-hand side protects the racing line. But Sims has got such good speed in the Corvette. Under braking, will he sweep around the outside? Yes, he does. Great move from Alexander Sims, the 2025 IMSA champion. There's more lunging going on. And that was Ben Green, I think, on Jaden Ajeda again. It has to go defensive on Bastien Boost. But Sims is really useful here because as a teammate to the 99, he can start being really naughty and getting all over the back of Bastien Boost, distracting him from attacking his teammate. In the end of the day, 2 brothers in that 99 and 66 car, the 2 princes, they will be absolutely helping each other. Of course, Alexander Sims was in the 99 car for the first weekend of the year, before missing those rounds and being placed in the 66 for the second half of the season. Still very, very tight though, isn't it, between our pro drivers? Just a second separating Boccolacci and Ye at the front. And then a bit of a queue starting the forward with Ojeda, Green, Boost, Sims, Menzel just about holding on. Pile perhaps not close enough. Pile very, very proudly showing me the front end of that Rothmans inspired livery at the end of race 1, saying, look, I didn't scratch it at all. Not a little bit of damage. As our splendorous 24-car grid flashes over the start line to complete lap 8. Watch out for Ben Green here. That Corvette closing up onto the rear wing of the white Mercedes of Craft Bamboo. Into turn number 3, is there an overlap? Not quite. Jaden Ajeda sort of sat in the middle of the road, and it does narrow into 3, so you have to be very, very brave. And Boost defending now from Sims. And look at that. one corner of defence and he loses 3 or 4 car lengths. And that is exactly the kind of role that Alexander Sims can play so importantly today. Ben Green in the 99, that car has a 15-point deficit on Yi and Yuan. And also is 9 points back from the 4, which is only 1 position back. And 5 points ahead of the guys that are leading the race right now, Boccolacci and Anthony Liu. What is going to happen if it stays like this at the end of the race is all the points are just going to close up massively. It's been advantage Bob Wan and Liu Yi for a majority of the year. They've managed to hold on. And actually Wei Lu in the number 4 wasn't really in it up until that brilliant weekend in Okayama last time out with Bastien Bus, his partner. We've had some good runs with Picarello, but Bastien took some time to get used to the team and the car in the early stages of the year. There is Liu Yi, still in 11th position, no cars around him. He's 3 seconds back from Joel Eriksson and has about a second over the BMW of Max Hussein. Didn't really click in qualifying for Liu Yi, in the same way that Bob Wan seems very comfortable. Interestingly, fastest lap of the race to Joel Eriksson, as under big defence, Alexander Sims. And I think that's because Sims has just moved himself ahead of the number 4. Yes, he has. So Sims has got past Bastien Bus. And Bus is going backwards here. And for the title, that is bad news. Now, Alexander Sims can play an even more important role because he can start to back off a little bit. And look at the gap that's already been created by that move. The first 4 are clear by quite a way already. 1.4 seconds was the gap. And here is Sims, his move on Bus down the inside, nice and clean. Corvettes are really, really strong on that run between turn 1 and 3. They definitely have good straight line speed. And now Ben Green flashing the lights on Jaden flashing the lights on Ye Yifei. As I said, now those cars have come up to temperature. That confidence that Ye Yifei had in the first couple of cold laps has been negated. And there was an incident involving car. Oh, Jaden down the inside of Ye Yifei. Can he get it slowed down? It was a late dive, and he's heading towards the barrier. He keeps it out the barrier, and Ye Yifei responds to go back up into 2nd position. There was just a fraction little lock-up, and we've seen some big shunts down there today. The ABS system's not liking that big bump. Now Ye Yifei under pressure from Ben Green on the outside, Jaden Ojeda on the inside. There's no space for Ojeda. Can Ben go all the way around the outside here in the Corvette? He'll be on the inside for the next corner, and he does so. Wow, he really is turning into quite a star, Ben Green, this year. His name in lights and up to 3rd position now. Oh, big slide though, and contact between the 2 of them, and the bonnet's up on Jaden Ojeda. Can he see at all? I don't think he can. He's going to have to park it. And just the tiniest of touches has dislodged the bonnet on that car. And Jaden Ojeda is going to have to be very, very careful here, because he's not really going to be able to see very much. He'll be looking for a marshal to help him out. Smoke billowing from the engine, and yeah, maybe the sensible thing is to park it, but it's going to cause a safety car as we get to pit window open. It's Ben Green just getting a little slide on mid-corner, and obviously having to come out the throttle, and Jaden was so close to him that the lightest of touches, and that dislodged his bonnet. Safety car period is called. Engine's still running. That smoke mainly because there's not the airflow you would usually expect, and how frustrating that all he needs is a little bit of tape to stick it down again. So here is Jaden's attempt on Ye Yifei. The car almost completely off the ground, and then off the ground in the 2nd braking zone, and he runs so very deep. Oh, he did hit the wall, just the tiniest of touches. He did that in qualifying as well, but that meant he had to get out of it. Lost the position to Ye Yifei, and to Ben Green. And now look at the 99 here. Turns in, just loses the rear end, has to get out of it. And Jaden goes into the back of the Corvette, and the tiniest of touches, but it dislodges his bonnet. And then, unfortunately, there's, in the way that that bonnet is designed, no space to see underneath it. Some cars you can continue to drive, and of course, very famous rallying scenes where bonnets have been up and co-drivers have been inside the engine bays whilst driving, but not the Mercedes GT3 car. What could have been for Jaden Ojeda. Really excited to see what he could do today after his heroics last weekend on a real high yesterday to get that pole position by 3.5 tenths of a second. Absolutely mega. But all of that work that those pro drivers have done to establish an advantage has now been undone. 1 point between Anthony Liu and Dorian Boccolacci and the number 4 of Lu Wei, who's yet to get in the car. Number 4 is 5th position. Now, of course, gaining a spot because of the retirement of Jaden Ojeda. And that graphic top 3 doesn't tell the story of the 4th position car, the 19, which is the 99, in 3rd position. Ben Green is also in championship hunt still, but he does need Prince Jeffrey to have a sterling second stint. As I said, the pit window is now open. Do you pit now? And I think safety car lights are out, so it wouldn't make it any odds really. But I was about to say, if we are, oh no, that's just the light, isn't it? The safety car can't be coming in because the car's still on track. So, do you pit now under safety car, or do you wait for the more conventional pit stop where you wait until the end of the pit window to put your AM in? It's not going to be a big rush like we saw in race 1, but JMR have deciding that they want to put their princes in under safety car. And I think that was one of the German mechanics down at Phantom Global saying everyone's coming in, just like we saw in race 1. This is not going to take very long to snatch this Mercedes out the way. But they're all going to come into the pits and pit under safety car. Because, of course, you're going to lose too much time under green flag conditions. So, once again, the Silvers are going to be hurt by this because they have an extra 5 seconds of stop. The number 10 for success this morning also will be really hurt by this. 10 seconds extra stop. The BMW 5 seconds, the Nissan 15 seconds. And it's so congested because they are all nose to tail with each other. This is advantage 99 and 66 because in theory they can get their cars into the fast lane and everybody has to wait for them. And they are at the top end of pit lane. They're the first box, whereas Origin are the last box down at the far end of pit lane. It actually depends on what is at the end of pit lane as to whether they can get straight out or have to go back into the fast lane. But Phantom Global Racing right in the middle of the lane. And this is going to really mix everything up again. So have everybody come in? No. 2 cars staying out. The AM partnership of Setuan Santosho and Liam Talbot stay out. James Yuquai and Frankie Cheng stay out in the 45. That is a bold move from a championship challenging car. It's a gamble, but it's a gamble that could work. 99 goes out, 66 goes out. In theory, nobody should be in front of them. And it's going to be really hard to release cars in front of them, although this 37 should go out in front of them if it can. Is there space in the lane? Wait. Here come the Corvettes. Get going. Oh, no, now you can't go. And now you're going to have to wait for a hole in the traffic. There's the hole in the traffic, and he goes. So he's lost 4 positions there, and maybe more when other cars get released. And that's the problem about a pit stop under safety car. They're all so crammed together, there is no space to bully your way out. So the 55 comes out at the head of the field. Boccolacci has lost, the car of Boccolacci has lost 5 positions there. And look at that, the 87 is just behind, so they must have done a really strong pit stop. There's the number 10. We knew that that would lose positions. Where I didn't note the 4. The 4's up ahead of them. There's Boccolacci. And yeah, frustration I think that will be, because he's done a great job and all of his work has not only been undone, but by holding the car in the pits, Anthony Liu is now in 8th position, Bob Wan in 9th, and Lu Wei in 11th spot. Wow. There's 9-11 through the shot. There's the 37. There is the 87. And then one car between the 87 and the 4, which is the car of Adley Fong, the 13. It will now be driven by his teammate. So the graphics will update in a short while when the drivers have all changed their IDs. So the top 2 have not pitted. So we could sort of ignore them, James Yu and Liam Talbot, and here again. So Anthony Liu was released but couldn't get the car going early enough, so then had to be held whilst 4 cars went past. And then they were, and that was an unsafe release from the 13, right into the side of his teammate as well. And by doing so, I can see an Audi slipped up in front of them, which would have been the car of Joel Eriksson and Yinglong Bao, slotted in. So somehow Harmony Racing in the 55 were able to get their car from 2nd position out in the lead, even though Harmony are right in the middle of the pit lane. And it, as expected, worked really well for the Princes, who are 2nd and 3rd on the road. And now the other 2 cars come into the pits. So they will end up right at the tail of the field. We had this in race 1, and I can't really understand it. I think the only other thing you would want to do is just stay out to the maximum and maybe get a green flag lap in, but it hasn't really worked. So everybody has pitted under safety car. They've all agreed that that was the right thing to do, but the 45 needs to be on the same lap as everybody else, because now it will be at the tail of the 21 car queue. For the Silver Championship, it doesn't matter. They only needed to finish, so they still will be Silver Champions, but it will have hurt their race a lot. And now work to do for Setuan Santosho as well in the number 8, who will fall to the tail of the AM field, which is now being led by Anthony Liu. Here's as it stands then. Bob Wan and Liu Yi would be back to the championship win. But there's no way it's going to stay like this. They have inherited a good amount of positions from that pit stop, up to 7th. They pitted pre-safety car, they were 11th. So they've gained 4. That will be in part thanks to the Silvers having to pit longer. And also the number 10 of Nico Menzel and Brian Lee with that long stop for their success in race 1. They dropped down to 13th. Hirabon in the Nissan dropped down to 18th position for his long stop and success in race 1. The BMW 89 actually doesn't look as though they've lost that much ground in 10th spot. They've actually gained position, so pit stop times will be verified by race control. And the AMs will get themselves a little bit longer in the cars than they would usually be expecting. Safety car at the end of the lap, so we aren't going racing yet. But I would imagine with the Mercedes recovered that we are going racing next time by. There's Alexander Sims and Ben Green. They've done their work. They've given their cars over to Prince Jeffrey and Prince Abubakar in 2nd and 3rd position. You can't ask much more of your pro drivers. Now it's all down to them. race one. The teams will be analysing what's going on track. They'll be working out when it's likely that the safety car will be coming in and telling their drivers to get as much temperature into tyres and brakes as possible. You're never going to get the cars back up to the working window that they will be when they are at racing speed. It's sort of impossible, especially in cold conditions like today. But they will get some way into a comfort zone. We've got Porsches flooding the top 10. Okay, we've got Ferrari, Corvette, but then Porsche in 4th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 12th. And those are the cars that warm up quickest. We're going to have about 25 minutes of racing when the safety car comes in. Lights are ablaze through E-Town. This absolutely splendid venue for the final weekend of GT World Challenge Asia. To the south of Beijing Centre, in an economic up-and-coming district which hopes to host this race for a good few years. And already so much entertainment and drama. Zhang Yaiqi controls the field into this tight chicane. He's got Prince Jeffrey under his wheel ring. Prince Abubakar will know his role here, and that will be to create a gap to stop the challenge from Wang Zhongwei and Bao Jinglong and Anthony Liu behind. And there is already congestion in 4th position. Here the tyres squabbling for grip as they exit that final turn and blast their way towards the start line once again. 24.5 minutes remaining, and we're back to green flag racing for the final chapter of SRO's GT World Challenge A for 2025. Down the insides comes Jinglong Bao on Wang Zhongwei. That's a position gained also for Anthony Liu, who comes down the inside as well. Here comes Liu Yi. I think that Wei just wants to get out of the way. We've got very fast AM drivers flooding around him. And into the defensive middle of the road position. Very aggressive from Ron in Huang in the 29 Lamborghini. And a mistake from Alex Louis in the number 30. Here comes Anthony Liu. Is that 2 positions gained? Yes, it is. What a move from Anthony Liu. And that proves his intention. Jinglong Bao defending Li. Bob Wan needs to be careful here. Contact between the two of them. Contact between himself and Prince Abubakar. He's got to be so careful. There's really slow traffic around. Here comes Ron Huan in the Lamborghini. And from absolutely nowhere, he is absolutely flying now. Onto the tail of Bob Wan. And Bob's going to have to be careful not to turn in on him. Also Tony Uran in the BMW in 10th position now. Lu Wei trying to go side by side with Prince Abubakar. That is for 5th position. And there's the front, well, that's the 2nd, 3rd and 4th going through shot, then a big gap. And Prince Abubakar is a roadblock here. That's exactly what he needed to be, and that's exactly what he's doing. Sitting in the middle of the road, not going particularly fast, creating a gap to the cars around him. Lu Wei tries to go onto his outside for turn 1. This could be a dangerous move. Oh, and a big shunt again in turn 1 for Anthony Liu. And just like in race 1, Liu ends up in the barriers at turn number 1, and there's car all over the road. And that changes the complexity again of the championship. Safety car is called. Who else was involved in that? It wasn't the 55 because he was clear out of front. It was the 911s dropped down a lot of positions. Oh, Anthony Liu. Already frustration after his shunt in race 1. And would you believe it's happened again? There's a lot of car. He's hit the inside wall, and there is a lot of car strewn all over the circuit at turn number 1. Here is a replay of what happened. So he's come in onto the brakes, and it pretty much exactly what happened in race 1. He's just not been careful with the bump. He's braked to cross it, which has unsettled the car. The car's momentarily got light, and it sent him into the inside wall. Prince Jeffrey Ibrahim, very, very lucky there not to be collected. Anthony Liu was big, you know, we've seen it over the last couple of years. He is aggressive, he likes to push hard, and it works so often for him. But it has not worked today. And there's a lot of carbon fibre down there. Marshals are going to have to be careful, as are the teams and drivers, not to drive through too much carbon fibre. It'd be so easy to pick up a puncture. Wang Zhongwei lost a lot of positions on that restart. He was just trying to stay out of the way, wasn't he? In the 911 that Patrick Pilet put right at the head of the field, but already Wang down to 17th position. And race direction will have told teams and drivers to stay as far right as possible, because that's the inside where the majority of the carbon fibre has been splayed all over. Well, that eliminates one of our championship challenges. I really thought this was going to be the weekend for Liu and Boccolacci, and that first half of this race, it looked to be so. There's a big chunk missing out of Satuan Santosho's Mercedes. The number 8 machine missing a light on the front right. And here's some more replays then. So Anthony Liu, this is being super aggressive down the inside of 2 cars, putting Prince Abubakar offline. He then goes defensive to shut down Bob Wan, and there's a little bit of contact between the two. Bob, knowing that this is a championship deciding race, sensibly trying to get out as much as he possibly could. That compromised the two of them. That allowed Lu Wei, his Origin teammate, down the inside. There was a nice lunge from the Lamborghini behind as well, who is really making great inroads. Ron Juan up to 6th position come the safety car. And then here's this replay again. Just conventionally, that was going to work. If that was a normal racetrack, if there wasn't a big bump and almost jump there, then that would have been no problem at all. But unfortunately, Liu turning as he hit the bump, and it momentarily got air and just pitched him into the wall. Liu Yi looking on. They are now in 7th position, him and Bob Wan. So losing a position to the Lamborghini of Ron Juan. Ron has won in GT World Challenge Asia before. But Lamborghini ended up in the wall in race 1 with damage to the right rear corner. But in his stint against all the other rounds, he was very, very good. There's Bastien Bus down at Origin. Don't forget that both the number 4 and the number 87, they might have different colours, but they are run by the same team. It used to be called R&B Racing. Now it is Origin. So, 125 points as it stands for Bob Wan and Liu Ye. Equal points for Lu Wei. But if Prince Jeffrey can get ahead of Shang, he would move from 3rd up to 1st, because there's 7 points on offer for that one move. Now, if they are equal on points come the end, between car 4 and car 87, it will be 87 that takes the championship on the amount of victories that they have had versus Lu Wei. 4 with a victory in Okayama in race 2 and Mandalika race 2. whereas Liu Yi and Bob Wan in the 87 won in race 1 in Malaysia, race 1 in Mandalika, and race 1 in Fuji. So they have 3 wins to Liu Wei's 2. Even if they have exactly the same points come the end of this race. And if we can get back going again, I don't see the results staying as they are after what we've seen today. Will Ben Porter, oh actually we are maybe not going to go racing again. I've just seen that that barrier is not where it should be any longer. And in GT Cup we saw the barriers do need to be put back into their rightful position. With 15 minutes remaining on the clock, this might just be a case of running it down. There's Alexander Sims closest to us, Ben Green behind. Sims has done his thing. He was in the 99 car at the start of the year, now in the 66. They did all that they could, and Prince Jeffrey only needs one more position. He only needs to pass that Ferrari, but if we stay under safety car for the next 15 minutes, that's not going to be possible. It's so weird to hear the squeal of the Pirelli rubber on this tarmac. It's coming from the fact that the tarmac is cold. So here is that incident again. Of course, the barrier has moved. The barrier is not itself tucked up against anything, so it is designed to do exactly that. But huge damage to Anthony Liu's car. And as I say, so lucky that he didn't collect the Corvette. Car went straight across the front of the Corvette, and Prince Jeffrey on the anchors to avoid him. That would have been spectacular on board that car. There was also some others running deep into turn 1 in avoidance. There's a few people gaining an advantage as well, and a yellow flag flying there. So those that went to the outside lost out to those that went onto the inside, and there's the there's the reaction from Kierong Lee, who not racing sadly in this one and has fall back alongside him. The 86 car with obviously an issue before the start. It looked like it was good to go when I walked past it, but didn't make it to the grid. Race control have verified that all pit stops are good. So unlike that we saw in race 1, where we had 8 cars penalised for short stops, even though it was under very similar conditions under safety car, no problems with the pit stops in this race, apart from the fact that the 37 dropped from the lead of the race down to 5th, was it? 5th or 6th. And then it really required Anthony Liu to do huge work. And yes, I suppose you could say that if they hadn't put him in that position, then he wouldn't have been in the position to need to overtake, to go offline and lose control of the car over that bump. But also, we've seen all day many cars go over the bump without an issue and getting away with it. It has caused issues. It has been probably the biggest sort of difficulty of the circuit, really. Both in GT4 and GT3, we've had issues down there at turn number 1 because of the bumps in the braking zone. And whilst we're under safety car, let's go down into pit lane to join Amy, who is down in the garage of car 37 with Frenchman Dorian Boccolacci.
So Dorian, very unfortunate what happened, because you did a great job in your stint. Looking at the footage, what do you think happened on track?
Yeah, I think we crashed and we scored no point today. So yeah, The team did an incredible job after race 1. We had an issue, and the team made a great job to put back the car on the grid. And we were very close to have our first victory this season for the last round. Our championship is over now, but we could, at least fight for the title until the end. I don't know really what happened in turn 1. I saw there is a big bump. There is a big line, and we jump on the line, and maybe something happened on that, or like this morning, I don't know. We need to analyze everything, but yeah, it's just a shame for all the team. But I'm still happy that they did all the best today.
Is Anthony okay? Did you speak to him already?
I didn't speak. I think he's okay, but I didn't speak to him yet.
Let's hope he's not injured or anything. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dorian Boccolacci may be a works driver for Porsche Asia Pacific. He might be here, but all of these professional drivers still have the passion, and they still want to win. And Boccolacci especially has dedicated this year to this championship. When he had clashes, it's been this that has taken precedent, even if he's been doing other championships around Europe and the world, because he's been doing both Asia Pacific races, but also German-based championships. You can tell body language and face that he wanted that victory, and moreover, no doubt, wanted that championship as well. But you have to say he did a great job in coldish conditions. He did a really, really strong job in his stint at the start of the race. Remember also, he didn't get a stint yesterday. Everybody else got half an hour, those pro drivers, 20 odd minutes. But because his car was written off in the early part of the race, he didn't get a stint. So that was his first racing action. And pretty much led, he did lead every single one of the laps that he was out there on track with. So you can tell the disappointment from the body language, from the voice, from his face. As we continue to fix and push everything back into position, we continue to lap around the safety car. Ben Porter coming through shot in the 51 machine. 70 races Ben Porter has taken part in, himself and Frankie Chen, the most experienced drivers in the championship. We've had, in total, this was the 82nd GT World Challenge Asia race. So only missed one season, both Ben Porter and Frankie Chen. For Frankie, that was the year of COVID. For Ben Porter, that was the first season. And Ben Porter's teammate, Andrew McPherson, missing the weekend in Malaysia at the start of the season, where Ben managed to get a 9th position overall and win the class. And so doesn't share the accolade because of that missed weekend, but they are looking as though they're going to take victory in the AM category. In silver, it will potentially be a second victory for Jiatong Yang and Darrell O'Young in the 77. And I think that will be their 3rd victory of the season, because Jiatong Liang was actually on the podium in Mandalika in the 3rd spot with Daniel Frost, his teammate then. And that was the only other time that car has taken victory in silver. Apart from this morning. So it could be a double race victory for the final weekend of Darrell O'Young's career in GT3. As it stands, champions of silver, the 45, but basically now they could even park up and still take the championship, because They just needed to score points. Yifei might take a victory here, and at the moment he's down with
叶一飞，那么看起来我们马上就要在本土获得冠军了。那么在勒芒获得冠军之后，又来到了本土，又是北京的街道赛获得冠军，感受如何呢？如果马上的话，
首先非常荣幸能够回到中国，在我们本土参加比赛，代表法拉利。然后我在第一棒也是完成的非常优秀，从第6名发车冲到了第2名，然后把赛车以很好的位置交给了我的队友，我队友也是完成的非常好的表现，现在在领跑。比赛还没有结束，我知道冲线我们不能放松警惕，所以如果一切正常的话，我们应该能够拿下这个冠军。但我们祈祷一切顺利，对。
So he is very honored and to race at the home soil, and also he said he did a very good race and starting from P6 and to P2 and give the car to Yachi, and now Yachi is leading and. But before the checkered flag, he still have the attention here, and he hoped we could win the race.
Yifei won at his second home in Le Mans, where he spent 7 years of his life. But of course, racing with a Chinese license, a Chinese national, and how brilliant to have him in this field here in Beijing. Sharing that car with Zhang Yaqi, the 55, which leads this race. And whilst we now count down the timer to less than 5 minutes, looks more and more likely as though they will take the race victory. And earned as well, because Yifei really did have to fight hard with Dorian Boccolacci in that first part of the race. One more race left in his hypercar program for the year. And then he will be heading to the SRO organised GT Cup, the World Cup of GT cars at Macau in about 3 to 4 weeks' time, where he will represent Ferrari in GT3. Now, he hasn't done a lot of GT3 racing because he came from single-seaters and into the hypercars. So the Ferrari opportunity really has been presented itself through that. Done a little bit of GT3 cars before Okayama, but really his experience was Okayama here and then Macau. There they are down at Harmony Racing. Of course, running 2 cars in the championship across the year, the 96 car as well. We wish Andy doing well after that big shunt in race 1, broke his ankle and is back at the circuit already, but they decided to withdraw the 96 car rather than to rush and rebuild it. So just the focus on the 55. The 55 has had a bit of a torrid year, but at least they got a victory with Andy Dung and Lu Kai Lu in Okayama in race 1. That partnership was also on the podium earlier on in the year in Buriram, where really they should have won it. And they had the pole position for Buriram race 2 and had a very unfortunate accident which eliminated them in what was probably their best opportunity. It was an all-Japanese pairing that took victory in race 1. But we are now within 2.5 minutes of the checkered flag, and it looks as though it could be an all-Chinese lineup that are going to win race 2 and the final weekend here in Beijing. Prince Jeffrey Ibrahim on the podium in the first weekend of the year, with a win alongside Alexander Sims. He took 2 more wins with Ben Green, and it looks as though he will also be on the podium in 2nd spot, but that will not be enough for him to take the championship. The deficit too much to car 87. And under all of this tension, like every single year, Bob Wan and Liu Yi will come out victorious by 0 points, let's not forget. They will be tied on points with their Origin Motorsport teammates. They had an advantage of 14 points coming to the weekend. They are losing points to Wei Lu in this race. Wei Lu 4th position, so just off the podium. And by the time the safety car gets back to the start and finishing line, I think the checkered flag will be out. Still have one more race remaining around the circuit, the GT4 GT Cup race coming up. But this, the curtain call on the GT World Challenge Asia Championship for 2025. There's the tension down at Win Here Harmony. 10 days ago, taking victory in the Shanghai 8 hours. I say 10 days ago because it happens midweek. But a win here in China is surely going to be one of their biggest achievements to date on a circuit that nobody knew coming here. Extra special, extra hard work for the teams. They don't just bolt on a setup that they've experienced from the years previous. They started from 0. Throughout a tricky day of testing on the Friday, they got themselves up. And there is the relief, the realization beginning that we have in the world of GT World Challenge Asia, our first double champions. Just one more corner for Bob Wan to get round. The checker flag awaits our field. And it's going to be victory for Zhang Yaqi and Ye Yifei. A podium for Prince Jeffrey Ibrahim is not enough. Wei Lu in 4th, ties on the same points as Bob Wan down in 7th, and Liu Yi, his teammate. But it is that man, Liu Yi, who will be our champions for 2025. And finally, Leo can begin to breathe. It's not been the easiest of weekends for him. In terms of his qualifying performance, he was disappointed. Bob Wan starred in qualifying 1, but they weren't able to do the same thing in qualifying 2, and it led to them starting in the middle of the pack for both races after Liu Yi's penalty. And that would have been extra pressure. That would have been a few less hours in bed overnight. But they are your overall GT World Challenge Asia champions, thanks to victories. Not because they've got more points, because they have the same amount of points as Lu Wei. It's all down to their wins. 3 victories in 2025, in Fuji, in Mandalika, and in Malaysia in the early part of the season. Despite the charge, Lu Wei not quite doing enough. The silver champions, Frankie Chen and James Yu Kwai. Frankie was champion last year in the Silver Cup as well, so he becomes double champion. I think they would have liked a victory, especially considering Frankie lives here in Beijing. But in the end, they only end up in 13th spot, with the silver cars being penalised by losing time in the pit stops and then not being able to do anything about it in the second half of the race. AM champions after race 1 this morning, the Garage 75 pairing of David Chipdantioro and Christian Colombo. They were already crowned after race 1, as were the BMW at the back of shop there in silver am. Here come the cars then into pit lane. I presume that the 87 car is going to be part of our podium celebrations as well, as our champions for this year. It won't be on any podium, whether it be Pro-Am, which will be the same as the overall because the top three are exactly the same. Like Yinglong Bao, I don't remember that car being on a podium all year, the 46. Yeah, that's its best result with Joel Eriksson as teammate. But they're your victors. Win Air Harmony Racing. Zhang Yaqi with very little experience in this championship, but proving that he can do it in a Ferrari. He'll be waiting for his teammate to come down and congratulate him. Watch out, he's coming from behind you. And that victory is really down to the pit stop, because pre-pit stop they were in second position. Post-pit stop they came out in the lead. Prince Jeffrey there, second position for him. It's a good result, but he's going to be disappointed because he misses out on the championship. It was always going to be tough, coming in with 20 points deficit. But how it has changed around this weekend. The Corvettes were really, really nowhere in practice. But the work that both Ben Green, Alexander Sims, and the whole of the Johor team and Corvette have done have turned that really around. And it's quite spectacular. Origin Motorsport right down the far end of pit lane, so that's quite good news as they are they're pretty close to the podium. But there does seem like all of that fans on the grid are now in the podium. Let's now go down to Feline once again, who has our winner.
雅琪呢，这场比赛在本土拿到了冠军，感觉如何？哎，这场比赛真的是从今天的2场比赛都非常的精彩。
这个有点激动，而且我还很期待最后安全车释放的再跟队友们 PK 一下呢。不过最棒的还是一飞的发车，稳稳的从第6名干到第2名，非常棒，谢谢。
一飞说两句。
对，也是发车非常顺利，然后取得了第2名，然后把这个赛车安全的带回维修区给我的队友，我队友也是发挥的非常好，在安全车起步也没有出任何失误，然后最后在比赛最后把这个冠军带回家，也是感谢法拉利，感谢和谐车队大家的支持，对，非常开心能够在本土夺冠，谢谢大家的支持。
Okay, so Yachi said, and he was a little bit expectation on they could have some after the yellow flag, they could have some race, but he's very exciting of the result, and he wins the race, and he thanks for his teammates and to bring the car to P2 for him, and.
So Yang Yaoqi then missing out on too many racing laps, sadly. He did have an incident in pre-qualifying, so it's been a very turbulent weekend for the 55 car as well as the 96. But in the end, for all of the fans around the circuit, space for 30,000 fans, they have come and they've got a result that they will happily celebrate. A double Chinese victory on the streets of Beijing. And very, very good entertainment. Let's go back down to the pit lane, and we've got our champions with Amy.
And here with the 2025 GT World Challenge Asia champions, it is the first time in history that you are being crowned champions for 2 consecutive years. Congratulations!
Thank you, thank you. To be honest, I'm except some fighting, but the race 2 is like too many safety car. But it's okay. We got the overall championship. It's really happy with that. We're fighting whole year, and thanks for the team support, engineer, mechanics, team manager, all the guys, and also Leo. Yeah, so happy with that.
Yeah, so celebrate well, and let's have these champagnes pop tonight. Yeah. Congratulations again.
Yeah, don't forget Leo Yi has become promoted to a pro driver this year. He was a silver driver last year, and he's proven around some circuits that he's absolutely equal to Europe's and the world's best in GT3 cars. Maybe not so much this weekend with his qualifying performance, a little bit struggling. We have seen him also racing in Macau. Bob Yuan has come over to Europe as an AM driver and raced around the Spa 24 hours and done the highlights. But down at Origin, this is the celebrations. Kieron Lee alongside him there. Obviously racing against their teammates. So applause in the green garage, whereas disappointment in the blue garage. Anders Forback in his civvies after not starting race 1. And here is the overall results then. Pro-Am winners, the 55. Silver goes to the 77 and Jiatong Liang and Darrell O'Young. Silver Am to the Lamborghini after a great couple of laps from Ron Juan and Akish Nandi, and Am to Ben Porter and Andrew McPherson finishing in 15th. Gaps don't really represent much, do they? Because under safety car conditions at the second half of the race. But we can expect to see Ben Green and Prince Jeffrey on the podium, and Yinglong Bao and Joel Eriksson on the podium in 3rd position. A great result for Audi Sport Team Phantom. Now the disappointment for cars further down, not least for car 37 with a double massive DNF. The highlights of race 2. The pro drivers in the cars, and a great start from a rebuilt Dorian Boccolacci into turn 1 with Ye Yifei in the Ferrari in 2nd position, passing Jaden Ojeda, and the Mercedes struggling on lap 1. Ben Green in the Corvette making inroads on the early few laps, going down the inside of Bastien Bus here as they went towards the chicane. That was 1 position gained. His work to try and get Prince Jeffrey a championship title as Boccolacci disappeared off into the distance. This was an attack from Ojeda. So lucky to get away with it, locking the front wheel and touching the barriers. And that fight carried on until there was contact between himself and Ben Green. The bonnet flipped up, and then we had to go safety car to retrieve that car. The lightest of touches and no real damage to the Corvette, but it meant we had pit stops under safety car as we had done in race number 1. Disadvantage of those who are successful in race 1 and the silver cars, and 37 having to wait for cars to come out the pits and dropping from the lead down to 6th position. 55 inherited the lead, and when we went back to green flag racing, it was frenetic. Bob Yuan nearly ending up in the barrier, attacking Prince Abu Bakr down the inside there. And Lu Wei also fighting for his championship as Ron Huang and the Lamborghini fought hard. This was the race-ending incident, though. Anthony Liu, a very similar crash to what happened in race number 1, into the wall hard, damaging the barriers and, of course, his car. And then it was under safety car conditions from there on in. No changes of position, and despite the 87 losing points to car number 4, and them ending on exactly the same amount of points come race end, it would be Bob Yuan and Leo Yi, thanks to the victories, that takes the crown in 2025, with Ye Yifei winning the race alongside his teammate Zhang Yaqi for Win Here Harmony. A spectacular way to end this year's Asian Championship here in Beijing.
And the overall winner takes
And so to the podiums then. And first, the overall podiums and Pro-Am, with the same results for both. Ye Yifei and Zhang Yaqi with their first victories in GT3 technology. And it will be Kong Li, the secretary of the party working committee of the BDA, that will present the overall winner's trophy. For second and third, Yang Yuan, the secretary of the party committee and chair of Shang Yitown Beijing Technology and Culture Group Co. Limited. There is Mr. Kong Li, the secretary of the party working group committee of the BDA, presenting the overall first position trophy. And the top three get together for the final celebration photo of this year's championship. We kick off in late March next year. But before then, plenty of celebrations for a hard-fought year of racing. The champagne sprays here in Beijing for your top three in the final race of 2025. So now let's celebrate the champions of 2025. And they will be Bob Wan and Liu Yi. Equal on points with Wei Lu, but champions by dint of 3 victories to their name this year, doubling their total since they started racing in this championship. And Prince Jeffrey just missing out. Bob's son coming on to the podium as well. And they will be presented their wreath by the SRO CEO and founder, Stefan Rattel. And of course, we'll also be honoured at the gala evening, which will be happening in Venice this year at the end of November, where all of the SRO Motorsports Group's championships will be celebrated across Asia, America, Australia yet to finish, Europe finishing last weekend. And a double championship for those two gentlemen here in Asia. Your overall champions, Pro-Am champions, and also double champions. What will be their next challenge, and where will their challengers come from in 2026? Because even from race 1, where they took victory in Malaysia, they haven't really been headed. They had a horrible weekend in Beijing, in Buriram, where they nearly blew up 2 engines across the weekend. But outside of that, it's been points pretty much all the way. And that rolled into this race. They were given a 10-place grid penalty to overhaul. The whole weekend they really came with a disadvantage, didn't they? But ultimately they overcame all of that pressure and are your champions. Not bad for Origin. Champions and second position and equal points. You can't really do much better than that.
We welcome with the big applause on third place, car number 46.
So I think we're now going to go into the Pro-Am category. And this, of course, will be a similar podium to the overall category. In fact, it'll be exactly the same podium as the overall category. As our top 3 in this race were all Pro-Ams. So, having celebrated the overall race victory, now we celebrate the class victory and welcome Shi Wei, the Deputy Secretary of the Party Working Committee of BDA, to present the 2nd and 3rd position trophies. Ben Green and Prince Jeffrey Ibrahim will be moving on to racing across the winter in the Asian Le Mans Series, supported by SRO. And we now welcome Wang Li, the Deputy Secretary of the Party Working Committee of BDA and Director of the Administrative Committee, onto the podium to present the Pro-Am 1st position trophy. Once again, the champagne sprays for our Pro-Am category drivers. Their 2nd soaking of the afternoon. Oh, there's a cool poster. Not many opportunities to see Ye Yifei race in China these days. In fact, just trying to think, probably only on television. So for a celebrated Chinese driver, very cool to have him on this grid, and even better to see him on the top step. The Pro-Am driver standings then. 1 point goes to Wei Lu ahead of Prince Jeffrey Ibrahim. So Wei Lu, your Pro-Am drivers champion. Bob Wan and Leo Yi dropping down to 3rd position. Similar drivers, but different points because of the Silver Am and Silvers that sometimes get themselves in the mix. Of course, those are points only awarded to Pro-Am cars. And now to the next podium, which is our silver podium. Uno Racing's Rio and Shantung in 2nd position. Frankie Cheng and James Yu Kwai in 3rd. And Darrell Young and Jiatong Liang taking their 2nd victory of the weekend. They did all they could to win that championship. Unfortunately, it wasn't quite enough. Double maximum points for Liang Jiatong in his home city. And Jiatong already preparing his champagne. And we welcome Li Quan, member of the Party Working Committee of BDA and Deputy Director of the Administrative Committee, onto the podium to present the trophies. And Louis Li, member of the Party Working Committee of BDA and Deputy Director of the Administrative Committee, also presenting the trophies for the silver category. And for Darrell Young's last race in GT3. Don't worry though, we'll still see him in the paddock. He'll still be with us with Craft Bamboo in the next few years, no doubt. Based in Hong Kong, the team racing all across Asia, whether it be in Japan or in the Asian SRO Championship, or in Australia as well, where they support drivers. And very, very good champagne attacking. Frankie Cheng and Darrell Young, the perhaps more senior statesmen of this championship, Huge respect between the two of them. And a big cheers. Of course, Frankie with all of his family here as well. Happy to spray the champagne and celebrate a tricky weekend. Beautiful orange hue over the podium now. Ending up winning the championship in silver by 13 points over Lian Jiaitong, with Uno Racing Partnership in third in the end because of that non-start from Win Here Harmony Racing, dropping Andy Deng to fourth. Starting to get that beautiful twilight around the circuit. We will be getting our GT Cup race underway shortly. They're going to start under safety car conditions, but meanwhile, we carry on with this silver podium. And thanks to that absolutely stunning stint by Ron Yuan in the 2 or 3 laps that he had in the Lamborghini, the confidence that he had, getting himself up from third position up into the victory in silver AM. I'm not sure that Lamborghini has taken that. It's his first victory of the year. So that's a big moment for Absolute Corsa, Akishnandi and Ron Yuan. Trophies being presented by Li Yantou, member of the Party Working Committee of BDA and Deputy Director of the Administrative Committee. And we also welcome Fu Dariu, member of the Party Working Committee of the BDA and Deputy Director of the Administrative Committee. What could have been for that Lamborghini in the overall had there been a couple of extra laps racing. SRO GT Cup Race 2 is about to get underway. The final race of our weekend here in the inaugural Beijing Street Circuit weekend, and cars are on the grid, getting themselves ready. Daniel Liu, who was the winner in race 1, has just got himself out of his Porsche in the GT3 car race and will be on the back of the field in his Lotus Emira for this second encounter. Now, his brother Nathan ended up being underweight in race 1, and so having shared the podium with his brother, the first 2, got disqualified. Unfortunately, there is the winner of race 1. And looks like Lu Wenlong is installed into his Emira. Again, starting at the tail of the field because they didn't have any qualifying laps. Now, this grid is normally set, or